Hi everybody, my name is Jonathan from Patriot Machine Tools, and we're going to go over an installational video on how to install your lower parts kit into a Glock 43 frame. We're going to be using our Glock tool, a small flathead screwdriver, a pair of needle nose pliers, and a roll of tape. We're going to start by installing our magazine catch spring. There's a little groove that's in here that our little spring is supposed to go into. So we're going to place it in there. We're going to use our flathead to push down on the spring so that way it's into the channel. I don't know if you can see it in there. Should be able to see it. It's in the channel right over there. Our next step is we're going to take our magazine catch. I'm right-handed, so our button will go on this side. So we're going to have to go from the other side of the frame. We're going to have to put this in. If you can see, you kind of have to put this around the spring. It's a little bit of a hassle to get in there on these Gen 4s. But a little bit of patience, we'll be able to get that in there. Let's see if we can get that in there without too much of a hassle. That's about the most difficult part of these installational videos, just getting that guy in there. Sometimes you just have to convince it. Oh, didn't want to go in there. So we can convince it this way. Alrighty. So what we did was we used our flathead to push the spring forward so that way we can work around this little section so that way we can get our magazine catch in there. So once you do that, at that point you're going to reach back in there with your flathead, and then there's a little groove that's in there, and you're going to want to get your spring inside that little groove so that way it's going to function properly. Alright, we got that in there. So you just push your button. Now it's going to work as a magazine release. Good. Now we got through the hard part of this entire installational video. Now everything else should be a total breeze. So we're going to set up our trigger housing and trigger assembly. So this is a complete housing. There's no reason why it should be disassembled. So to assemble it's really simple. You got this little metal groove tab that's there. So we're going to take our connector and we're going to put it into this little section on the right hand side. So that way we got our connector in there. Should fit nice and snug and should be kind of out a little bit, so when you push it back and forth it's going to have a tension because it is spring steel. Now we have our trigger. This is kind of similar to the way the old system is, so you're going to push it forward like this. So you want to get it under this tab. You're going to push it forward and it's going to be assembled just like that. Your entire trigger assembly is ready to go now. So we're going to put that aside. We're going to go back into the frame and we're going to place it right into the frame. I like to put the trigger portion forward, and then this should just kind of like snap right into there. So we're going to grab our trigger housing pin and put it in to there. Should fit with about pressure. If not, you can use your Glock tool. I like using kind of like the corner so that way you're not pushing it in way too much and it's gonna stay flush within the frame. If not, you're gonna end up pushing it to the other side and having a lot of fun trying to move it back and forth. But I like using that trick. I use the corner of the Glock tool to get that in there. So the next step that we can do before we get into this meat and potatoes section is we're going to take our itty bitty spring that we have here that's going to work with the slide lock, and we're going to put this right over here in this little section that we have made just for that. Now, to get this in, it's a little tricky and it's a little different from the way the other ones are. But you want to also pay attention to the direction that this is going to be put in. You want this section that's right over here where you have that little bit of a cutout and you have that beveled edge. This beveled edge is going to be pointing forward like this. You want to install like this, because if you do it the other way around, it's not going to end up working correctly. So I like going from one of the sides. So I like kind of going in there. You want to kind of get it in there. You want to depress the spring so you can get this kind of under the spring. Let's see. Oh, all right. Nope. Didn't work out. Doesn't work all the time. But we're going to get that right back in there. Again, facing in the correct direction. We're going to go and we're going to get this completely underneath. So that way we can, there we go. All right, we got it for the most part. So we got this underneath the spring, and you're just gonna push it, and the thing should just bounce up and down without any problems whatsoever. So then you got that section there. So what's left? We got our locking block, and we got our slide stop. So we're gonna put our slide stop in here first, and then we're gonna put our locking block in. We're gonna push down on that locking block, so it'll function like that. All right, and our last part that we got is our trigger pin. I like going from the right side, because if not, you're gonna end up having the groove of this pin get stuck on here. So you're gonna have a lot of issues. So you just kind of wiggle that in there, and you push that in, and then you wiggle your slide stop to kind of get it in there. Sometimes you gotta put it on the block and give it some love. Nope. Just gotta get it in the right spot. You gotta wiggle that around. Just like to wiggle it around to make sure that it's completely level. Oh, no, there it went. The other side. So I mean that was right. So once I get it there, you end up wiggling this forward and back, down a little bit. Push it down a little bit. Once you get it down, you're gonna hear a nice audible click. Hear that click, and there you go. You have your lower receiver all assembled, ready to go. Just slap a nice slide on it, and it's ready to be used. The same process could be used for the SS80s, for any of the Polymer 80 single stack compact builds that haven't been released yet, but they will be released at some point in time, so we're told, as per their Instagram post. And that'll be all. Thank you very much.